Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum assalam.
Okay, so we have 7 participants, and I think we should wait for maybe a few minutes so other participants can join the same class.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
सर कल की क्लास ज़रा रिपीट थोड़ी सी तो टॉपिक्स वगैरह आपने कहा था कि आज रिपीट करेंगे लेकिन
Okay,
कल
we'll
हमने
just
ज्वाइन नहीं किया था.
give a touch to that. Okay, we'll not spend much time on that because that's gonna be time wastage. So we will just give a small touch, you can say, some little bit time to that. Okay. And here
Okay,
are
sir.
some participants. Let me admit them. Okay.
Sir, will you repeat the study class?
Yes, we're gonna repeat that. Okay. Oh, let's get started. So yesterday was just all about the area and volume, and that was just because area and volume, those things are really important in order to be a quantity surveyor. Okay, because quantity means, okay, if you remember quantity, it's all about, let me just have a pen. Okay, so quantity is all about the materials and the cost of the project. Okay, you can say the materials used in project will be just calculating the quantities, or you can say the estimation, okay, of quantities for the same project, and then the cost of the same project. Now, cost of the same project cannot be determined if you don't have the quantities of materials. Okay. Now, quantities of materials can be in different, you can say, form. It can be in terms of length. Okay. It can be in terms of area, because if you remember plaster, okay, it is just an example. Like you can say the tile work, maybe the whitewash, okay, and then maybe pointing. Okay, these are just the examples. So these things, or you can say these materials, are determined in terms of areas. Now length, you can say maybe pipe. Okay, pipe is calculated in terms of length. Okay, so that's not our actually approach in the same video. Length, it is just simple thing. You can say how many meters, how many feet, kilometers. Okay, so this is known by the length. Now our approach is actually the area, because area is really important. Okay, and it can give us multiple, you can say, options. Now, next we have the volume. Okay, volume is also very important, because if you remember PCC, RCC, and you can say brickwork, these things are determined in terms of volume. And after that, we can of course just calculate the cement, okay, from the volume, maybe the number of bricks, okay, the number of bricks. Okay, other participants are also joining. We are not gonna just wait for them. Okay, we'll just carry on. So what we do actually in volume, we determine the other things, maybe that is just known by the analysis. Then, like you can say, let's say PCC. If we have PCC, what does PCC means? It is actually plain cement concrete. Now in PCC, there can be 3 materials, like you can say cement, then there can be sand, and there can be, you can say, coarse aggregate. Sand is actually just the defined aggregate. Okay, so let's say coarse aggregate. It means there are 3 materials. Now in order to determine the quantities for these 3 materials, you should know the calculation for volume. Okay, that's why volume is really important. Okay, so we'll just move ahead straightforward toward the area and volume, and this is just the review, you can say, okay, in overview of the previous video, because that video was just you can say in Urdu, and many of the participants don't understand about the same language, Urdu, you can say. That's why I'm going to repeat those things in English. Now, as you can see, the first thing we have actually area of the square. And remember, square is just the same thing, okay? A 2D geometrical shape with two equal sides. Not two equal sides, four equal sides. You can say this is A, this one is A, okay? All sides are just having the same length. Let's say A is 10 centimeters, okay? That means the other side should be 10, the other one should be 10, okay? That's not 100, that's 10, and this one should be 10 as well, okay? Now the area of the square can be its side square. A means the side of the square, okay? It is so simple. Now in order to determine the area, it can be actually 10 times 10, okay? Because A square means A times A. It is very basic and you already understand this, but I'm just reminding, okay? I'm recommemorating these things to you because these things gonna help us, okay, little late in the same, you can say course. Because let's just consider a column, okay? Let's say this is a column, a square column, okay? And it is just like this. Now, how do you determine the PCC work for the same column? You can just determine the area of the base, which is a square, okay? It should be a square. And then you just multiply this area with the height of the column. So you can have the PCC work in terms of, you can say, volume. It means the square area is very important over here, okay? So this is just an example. Okay, moving ahead. Next, we have a rectangle, and which is actually a geometric shape with sides. Those are parallel, must be same in length, and there must be actually 90 degrees angle between them. If this angle is not 90 degrees, it means it is not a rectangle. It can be any other thing like parallelogram, okay? Can be any other thing. So area of the rectangle can be actually AB. A means one side of the rectangle, B is actually another side. You can say the length of the rectangle, okay? So length times width, it should be the area of the rectangle. Very simple, okay? You can say area equals the length, and then we have the width or maybe the breadth, okay? Let's say area, or you can say the parameters, let's say this one is 5 and this one is 10. So it means area is going to be 5 or maybe let's say 10 times 5, okay, which is 50 units. Why I'm typing units over there? Because we don't know what is 10 and what's 5, okay? We don't know the, you can say, the measurements units. If that is just in feet, it means the unit can be square feet. If those two parameters are in meters, it means the area is going to be in square meter, okay? If that's in kilometer, it means the area should be in square kilometer, okay? Okay, moving ahead. As you can see, we have a parallelogram. Now, parallelogram, it is also something like a rectangle, but it does not have 90 degrees over there, okay? At corner. This angle can be different. Now, area of the parallelogram can be AB. Let's say this is A, okay? Let's say this is the base, okay? And I'm going to represent that with A. Now, B is actually the height, okay? Just the distance between those two parallel sides. So this is the height, not this side, okay? The inclined one. It is never the inclined one. Okay, let me ask you a question, okay? Are you guys with me or not? Where are you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, I'm gonna ask you very interesting question. Okay, let's say if we have a rectangle, okay, and this is A, B. These are the sides. And there we have a parallelogram, okay? This is A, this side is B. And let's say This is A1 area 1, and this one is A2 area 2. Now, I'm gonna ask you which area is, you can say, more. Which one is max? Is A1 greater, okay, than A2, or A2 is greater than A1? Or you can say A1 equals A2. Which one is correct?
Equal, sir.
It is very simple question, okay? And you should know it. Okay, जितने भी ठीक कर दिया ना, मैं 10 रुपए इनाम दूंगा. चलो.
Equal, sir.
A1 is equal to A2.
I just, again,
A1 is greater than A2.
okay, let me just undo this thing, okay? It's not working, so I'm gonna erase these things. A1 is never equal to A2. Why? Because area of the rectangle, that is actually, let me say here is a rectangle AB. Okay, area of the rectangle is actually A times B. Now, area of a parallelogram, okay, if you consider this side, let's say this is B this time, and this one is H, okay? Now, area of the parallelogram should be AB times sine alpha, okay? This angle should be involved in parallelogram, okay? This area is also correct if you take B is the height. Now, if you involve sine theta, it means if sine theta, let's say if sine theta is 45 degree, if it is 30 degrees, if it is 60 degrees, it can be anything. It means the value of sine degrees that should be less than 1. Okay, it can be 0 0.5, 0 0.75, anything it can be. So if you involve sine theta, it means the value is decreasing. Value of AB that is just decreasing. It means the area of parallelogram that is just less than the area of a rectangle. Okay, is it simple? Okay, moving ahead. Next we have trapezium. Okay, you can see the shape. Okay, let's say the top one, that is A, the bottom one, that is B. Okay, these are the parallel sides, and here we have height H. Okay, now area of the same trapezium can be actually the summation of the parallel sides. Okay, you can say in average value, this should be average value, and we will just multiply that with the height. It is very simple. Okay, now this trapezium can be in another form like this one as well. Okay, if you have the same thing like this one, you can also use this formula as well. Okay, no problem. All right, next we have quadrilateral. This is a very important thing, okay? And most of the properties, okay, if you are, let's say, a patwari, you know about patwari? A person who measure, you can say, measures the lands, okay? The property. Or you can say, if you are a person to determine the area of a land, it means you are patwari. Okay, it is simple. Okay, a person who keeps the record of properties, you can say it is patwari. So quadrilateral, it should be actually the area of quadrilateral should be the, you can say, product of its diagonals. Let's say this is diagonal 1 and this one is diagonal 2. And we will multiply this with, you can say, an angle which is formed by these two diagonals. This is, let's say, alpha. And we're going to have actually 1/2. Okay, so this is going to be the area of a, you can say, quadrilateral. Okay, there can be another quadrilateral as well. Okay, most of the patwaris, have you ever seen this formula? Let me just erase these things. Okay. Okay, if you have seen this formula, okay, what they do actually, if you have, let's say, A, B, C, and this one, D. Okay, most of the patwaris, they actually take average of the opposite sides, like a plus c. Okay, this is average, and then multiply with b times d by 2. Okay, have you seen this formula? Most of the patwari use this formula, which is actually wrong. It is completely wrong. I never recommend this formula. Okay, what I actually recommend is, if you have a quadrilateral or an irregular shape like this one, you should just split this into two triangles. Simple. Okay, determine area of each triangle and then add them. It is the same area as the quadrilateral area. Okay, very simple. All right, next we have circle. Pretty cool thing. Okay,
ट्रापेजियम फार्मूला से
what?
ट्रापेजियम फार्मूला इस पे नहीं लग सकता सर
Your voice is not clear, please. Okay, can you repeat it?
सर ट्रापेजियम का जो फार्मूला है वो इस पे नहीं हो सकता सर
कौन सा फार्मूला?
सर जो आपने फार्मूला
ट्रापेजियम
बताया वो
इसके
क्या था?
पिछले वाला
कोई अगर दूसरा बंदा इस बंदे के सवाल को पूछ ले तो शायद मैं सुन सकूं।
सर ये कह रहे हैं कि ट्राइपीज्म का फार्मूला इस पर नहीं लग सकता।
ओए नहीं 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 नहीं, इसलिए नहीं लग सकता क्योंकि ट्रेपीजियम में टू पैरेलल साइड्स है। देखो भाई, दो साइड्स पैरेलल है।
यस
ठीक है, अच्छा मैं एक अनदर फार्मूला मेरे पास है एक्चुअली। ओके, जिसको एक एक बंदे ने चैलेंज भी किया हुआ था मेरे साथ। एक सेकंड, मैं उस फार्मूले को थोड़ा आप लोगों के साथ शेयर करूं, क्योंकि आप लोग भी चैलेंजेस फेस कर सकते हैं।
उर्दू में बस लेक्चर कर लें तो बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा सर।
Oops,
बहुत बड़ी मेहरबानी
sorry,
होगी।
sorry. I'm gonna have in English that because few students don't understand about Urdu.
पूछ ले
Okay,
खैर है
मेरी अपनी
बाकी
उर्दू
सब पूछ लें।
मेरी बहुत वीक है यार।
सर आपको
बहुत
सुबह भी हमने कहा था कि कोई मसला नहीं है, हम खैर कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लेंगे।
नहीं नहीं, इसमें ना दो तीन बंदे इंटरनेशनल है तो उन लोगों के लिए मसला है ना। एक बांग्लादेश का है शायद और श्रीलंका के एक बंदे हैं, दो, तो इस वजह से।
सही।
And I think my English is very simple. Okay, there is nothing
सर
complicated.
हमारी तो सैंपल भी नहीं है।
अल्लाह के बंदे, मैंने कोई मुश्किल वोकेबलरी भी इस्तेमाल नहीं की अभी तक। वही सारी
कोई
पुरानी
बात नहीं,
चीजें।
कोई बात नहीं है
ओके,
सर, आप
तो
कंटिन्यू।
ठीक, एक सेकंड। एक क्वाड्रेटरल ये भी है। अगर आप एक सर्कल में, लेट्स से एक सर्कल है हमारे पास, ये ठीक है, जो कि मैंने बड़ा फजूल से ड्रा किया। अच्छा, वी हैव ए सर्कल लेट्स से, एंड देयर इज ए क्वाड्रेटरल लाइक दिस वन लेट्स से, which is never square. Okay, it is never square, all sides are different. Now you can use a very nice formula, like you can say s minus a, s minus b, s minus c, s minus d. Have you ever read or have you ever seen this formula? Okay, it is very different from the other formula. Okay, you may have seen s into s minus a, s minus b. Okay, and this is b. Okay, and then it's minus c. Okay, these things are very different from each other. Okay, now this thing it is like a second hero formula. It should be used for a quadrilateral, which is just inside. You can say inscribed quadrilateral. Now this formula, however, it is called hero formula, and it is used for a scalene triangle, which is a very important thing. Okay, everywhere there is scalene. When you calculate area of a triangle, maybe in irregular shape. Okay, we will discuss that maybe in other lecture, because this time we are just you can say repeating the previous thing, so I'm just in hurry. Now again, next we have circle. Circle is important because we have we have, you can say, elementary structures. Okay, like maybe you have seen dooms. Okay, maybe you have seen cylindrical columns. maybe you have seen slabs, okay, which are circular, maybe for water tank, right? And there can be actually designs like, let's say this is the slab, and here we have curvature, okay? So it means circle is everywhere, right? That's why it's important to know about circle. Let me just erase these things, okay? And most of the student, even my students from the college, they don't know about area of the circle. I every time tease them, okay? And those who correct the answer to the area of a square, I just give them 20 marks in practical, okay? That's my wow with them. Okay, so area of a circle can be actually pi d squared divided by 4. Very simple thing. Now, what is this d? Okay, it is actually, let's say here we have center, okay? Oops, here it is. We have circle, and here is the center. Now, if you draw a line which is passing through the center and it touches the circumference or maybe circumference, okay, this line is known by the diameter. Okay, if you have that, then you can use pi d squared divided by 4. Now, as you can see, here is the center. Okay, if you just divide this diameter by 2, it means we got radius. Like you can say, let's say if we have a circle, this is the center, and a line toward the circumference, that is just the radius then. Okay, you can use pi d squared divided by 4, or you can use pi r square, no problem. You can use both formulas. Also, there is another thing which is actually the parameter, okay? Or you can say the circumference. You can use pi d or maybe 2 pi r, okay? And yeah, of course, you know about pi, which is 22 by 7. Are you guys familiar with this? 22 by 7, what is 22 by 7? Anyone, please?
2.14.
3.4.
It is
Yeah.
circumference.
3.14.
Yeah,
Equation.
yeah, it is that thing, 3.14, blah, 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 blah. But what is 22? What is 7? I'm just asking about that thing.
Circumference divided by diameter.
Exactly, it is the ratio, okay, of circumference and the diameter. Now, this ratio is very important, okay? Let's say if we have, you can say the pi, it means the circumference by the diameter. Now, if you take any circle, the ratio should be 22 by 7 for any circle. If you determine its circumference and then divide it by the diameter of the same circle, you're gonna have the value of pi. Okay, I'm just moving ahead for an ellipse, and area of the ellipse can be actually pi AB. Now A is actually the major axis. Okay, an ellipse can be actually a 2D geometrical shape having two centers which are known by the foci. Okay, I'm not gonna go into geometry. This time, as you can see, we have pi AB. It means A is actually the major axis. You can call this major axis. And then B, that is the minor axis, like this one. Okay, if you can represent it over here. This is B, and this one. Whose dog is barking? All right. Next, we have a polygon. Okay, where can we use a polygon? In building, maybe. Okay, there are many structures. You can see this is pentagon. Okay, pentagon in United States. Okay, have you ever heard it? So this is pentagon. It is a regular pentagon. It can be different, like polygon. Maybe let's say this is hexagon. Okay, there can be nanogon, there can be octagon. Okay, it means the area of a polygon is going to be very simple. Okay, here is a trick. In books, there is a complicated formula. However, I'm gonna just show you a very simple formula. Let's say this is the center of the pentagon. Okay, now if you are able to draw a line from that center to where the, you can say, vertices maybe are the corners, okay, like this. So we can have a triangle. Now area of this triangle can be actually, let's say if this is the height, okay, of the same triangle, and here we have the base. Okay, let me just mute this person. Who's he? Okay, Sanullah. And Roman Zeb. All right. So area of this polygon can be now, okay, if you just split this into more triangles like this, a triangle like this one. It means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 triangles, and area of the one triangle, you can say it can be 1/2 and then BH. Okay. For the second one, we can have area of the 1/2 and BH again. For the third one, we can have 1/2 BH, okay, and so on. 1/2 BH plus 1/2 and then BH for the fifth one. It means it is the total area of the polygon, but it is very long, okay. Nobody's gonna do it. Or maybe if you calculate area of a polygon, it's gonna take you maybe much time, okay. That's why we can just reduce this formula into a short form. Okay, how? Let's just say if area of the triangle is the same, it means, as you can see, we have 1/2 and then BH. Okay, B can be the parameter of the same polygon. What do you say? It is the same thing, okay? So I can say 1/2, and for B, it is summation of B. You can say 5 B's. We can add them. It means it is just the parameter of the same polygon. Okay, as you can see, H is common for all. So I'm gonna say H, which is perpendicular. It is just a short form of the formula. Okay, what you have to do is just to determine the parameter and then just multiply that parameter with the height, so you can have the area of a polygon. Okay, very simple. All right. Okay, polygon AB. Okay, this is some mistake. It is AB is actually for the in ellipse. Okay, now next we have actually volume, but I think we missed about triangle. What do you say? Should I go for triangle? I think we should go for triangle first. Okay, so let me just share another slide with you if I can do it. Okay, now there can be actually many types of triangles, maybe 6 types of triangle there are available. Okay, and we'll be just looking into each here all types triangle. It is a very old video of mine on the same channel, Engineer Boy. Okay,
Sir,
so
video stop है.
are you sure?
Video stop.
What about now?
Show yes.
Okay, so triangle is very important, right? And I believe you guys are just familiar with it because it is the same thing. You may have seen it, okay? A 2D geometrical shape having 3 sides. Very simple. And it should be closed, okay? If I say there is a triangle like this one, let me just draw it. If this is, okay, this thing has 3, you can say, sides, but it is never a triangle because it is open over here, okay? It is never closed. So triangle should be closed because it is 2D geometrical shape. All right. Now, let's say we have different types of triangles. Okay. Some are based on sides, some are based on angles. Now, as you can see, we have scalene, then we have isosceles, equilateral, acute, right angle triangle, obtuse. I'm not going to waste my time with this because you should study these things, okay? I'll be just working an example. Let's say we have a right angle triangle. A right angle triangle is a triangle having one at least. Who's he? अलग बंदो माइक्रोफोन का अपने आप कर दो ना. अच्छा. So it is a right angle triangle, you can say. Now, area of a right angle triangle can be 1/2 base times perpendicular. Now, if you remember base times perpendicular, it was just area of a rectangle. If you remember, let's say this is base, this is perpendicular. Now, as you can see, a right angle triangle. Hello, are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a right angle triangle is actually half of a rectangle. You can see it, right? That's why we can just, let's say, if we have area like base times perpendicular of a rectangle, so we can just divide that by 2 to have area of a right angle triangle. It's very simple, okay? All right, next. Now, it is also very important to know if you have base and you don't have the perpendicular, okay, or if you have perpendicular and you don't have the base, then of course you can determine one of these from the hypotenuse, okay. Let me just explain it a little bit, okay. Let's say if we have a right angle triangle like this one, okay, and you have the hypotenuse, which is, let's say, 5, the perpendicular, which is, let's say, 4, but you don't have the base. And remember, in area, the right angle triangle's area can be 1/2 base times perpendicular. It means we need the base. That's why you can use the Pythagoras theorem, okay. Are you guys familiar with the Pythagoras theorem, which is actually c square
Yes,
equals
sir.
a square plus b square? Now c is known and we need b. It means we're gonna have to just make it, okay, or you can say a single thing which should be b on one side of the equation. It means we're gonna just bring this guy over, like c square minus a square should be b square, okay. We can also take square root just to remove the square. It means b is going to be now the square root c square, which is 5. It means 5 that is 25 minus 4, which is 4 4s are 16. Am I right? It means we're gonna have b, which should be 25 minus 16, and that is square root 9. It means we're gonna have 3. Okay, so this is how you can calculate the, you can say, base. Okay, if you have perpendicular and then if you have the hypotenuse. Okay, all right, let me just erase these things so we can move further. Any question? Okay, one another thing. Now, most of the time, as you can see, you guys may be a little bit familiar with quantity surveying, and you may be just very bored why I'm teaching about area and volume. It is because I guarantee you, just to learn area and volume, okay, if you learn these two things, it means you have learned 50% of quantity survey. That's my challenge, okay? Because we have these two things, only these two things in quantity surveying. That's why I'm just focusing on these things, okay? All right, moving ahead. And let's say we have an equilateral triangle, okay? It is a triangle with 3 sides equal to each other, and a very simple formula can be used, square root 3/4a square. A here is actually the side of the same triangle. Now square root 3/4, that can be actually 0.4 3, 3, okay? And A, that is actually the side of this triangle. So this formula can be used, and a derivation is also available on my channel. If you guys need to derive this formula, I can also carry this guy on. But I think it is not important, okay, in the same course. All right. And you can also actually use area of a right angle triangle. If you remember, 1/2 A times H. If you have the perpendicular, okay, perpendicular, then of course you can just use this formula as well. No problem. All right, next we have the isosceles triangle. ठीक है, जिसमें of course two sides equal होते हैं एक दूसरे के and one base. Okay, so in order to determine area in a isosceles triangle, you can use of course the same thing which has been used for a right angle triangle, like maybe 1/2. We're gonna have base and then we will multiply that with the height. Okay, so we can have area. Now remember, most of the time you don't have the perpendicular. You have to just work out that. And you can just work out that by using a Pythagoras theorem, because you have the base, okay? You can take one side of the triangle, let's say this side. It means you have the base, which is 1/2 of the base, and then you have one side. It means you can just calculate this side, which is perpendicular, okay? And you can do that just by using the Pythagoras theorem. All right, next we have the scalene triangle, and this is very important, because if you have irregular shape like this one, maybe a land, okay? Now, a land can be triangulated. Let's say I'm gonna triangulate this the same way like this, okay? This is called triangulation. Triangulations means just splitting or dividing the whole property into triangles. Now, as you can see, we have these triangles, and it is very likely impossible just to draw a right angle triangle, or maybe to draw an equilateral triangle, or maybe just to draw a square, maybe just to draw a rectangle, okay? It is likely very, you can say, impossible to draw regular shapes in a in irregular land, you can say, okay? That's why whenever you just triangulate a land, it should be, each triangle should be scalene triangle. That's the reason a scalene triangle is very important, okay? So let's just determine area of a scalene triangle. I'm gonna erase these things. And area of a scalene triangle can be actually कौन है ये बंदा? एहसान भाई, म्यूट पे रखे यार इसको आप।
ओके सर।
ठीक है, तो स्केलेन ट्राइंगल के लिए आप क्या कर सकते हैं, आपने हीरो फार्मूला इस्तेमाल करना होगा। ठीक है, मैं पेन को ज़रा डालूं। तो हीरो फार्मूला which is actually just the square root of s into s minus a s minus b. If you remember, just few seconds ago, I mean few minutes ago, we have just discussed this thing, okay? Now s over here is actually the semi-parameter. Parameter mean just to add all sides. You can say a plus b plus c and just divide that by 2, so you can have the you can say semi-parameter of the same triangle. Now put s over there, and a b c, those things are actually the sides of the triangle, okay? And after doing some mathematics, you're gonna have the area of the scalene triangle. It's very simple thing, okay? All right, moving ahead. And I'm gonna jump into the same slide, okay? Just the old one, if you remember. So we can carry that one further, okay? This was just for the triangles. Okay, here, next, we have, where is it? Okay, you guys can see it, the slides, okay? Confirm it, please. Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's a question in the chat.
यस सर।
if we can use Heron formula for isosceles triangle, of course, you can use Heron formula for any type triangle, for right angle triangle, isosceles, equilateral, for a scalene, for all types triangles, you can use it. Okay, Heron formula is very important and it gives 100% accurate value, right? Okay, next we have volume. Let's just discuss it. And volume is actually the property of a, where is it? Where is my pen? We're here. It is actually the property of a 3D geometrical shape, right? And area, it was just the property of 2D geometrical shape. Okay, so in order to determine volume, there can be different 3D geometrical shapes, like maybe box or maybe cube. अच्छा, ऑनलाइन क्लास में यही मसला होता है ना यार, हर बंदे को मैंने कहना होता है कि म्यूट कर दो, अपने आप को म्यूट कर दो। मैं आल को म्यूट कर देता हूँ। ओके, where was I? Okay, volume. So it is the property of a 3D geometrical shape, you can say, right? I'm sorry, where is it? All right, here. Now, okay, volume, you're gonna have to learn only one formula, and that formula is gonna just that is just enough for you to determine volume of any geometrical shape. Okay, maybe volume of a wall, a room, a foundation. That's enough for you. So volume should be actually the cross-sectional area, okay, or you can say area of the base times length of anything. Very simple formula, okay? So this is the basic formula and you should learn it. Now, let's just move ahead. The volume of a box or maybe cube, okay? Now, the cube can be rectangular as well according to AutoCAD, right? However, cube is something different in mathematics. Now, the volume of cube can be actually a cube because all sides of a cube are just equal to each other. Let's say this is A, this one is A, this one is A. Now cube, if I just draw a dotted line, we're here, okay, like this one, this is actually the base of the cube, okay? That side is actually A, this side is actually A. It means area of the base, okay? Area of the base is actually A times A. If you remember, some time ago, we have just learned it. Area of a square, right? And then we just multiplied that with its length or height, if you remember it from the previous slide, okay? And that side is also A. It means the volume of a cube or maybe box should be A times A times A, and we can simply write that by A cube. Very simple, right? Now, you also have to learn about the surface area. Why surface area is important? Because let's say if you have a wall like this one, it is a wall. Now wall is actually a rectangular prism, or maybe it is a rectangular cube, or it is just a box according to AutoCAD. Okay. Now each side is just plastered. We plaster each side and we just whitewash each side, right? It means we need the surface area of the same wall to just determine the cost of whitewashing, maybe the cost of painting, right? So it's really important. स्क्रीन शो आ रहा है ना आप लोगों को? कमेंट पे बताए कोई।
यस सर, आ रहा है बिल्कुल।
ठीक है, ओके। तो क्या आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी?
सर मैं कह रहा हूँ अगर ये आपने उर्दू में समझाने की कोशिश की बहुत बेहतर है।
और तो मैं नहीं समझा सकता ना इसमें। अच्छा,
हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम समझ जाए, बस मसला ये है कि उसके बाद इस तरह
नहीं, मसला ये है ना, इसमें कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को फिर उर्दू नहीं आती ना, उनको उनको मतलब 0% समझ आएगा क्वांटिटी का। ठीक है, तो इसी वजह से, वरना मेरे लिए कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। मैं बेशक गुलाबी उर्दू बोलूँ, लेकिन उर्दू थोड़ा बहुत बोल सकता हूँ। ठीक है, मुझे आती है।
सर खैर है, आप से
अच्छा,
पूछ लें, कोई बात नहीं। 14
next we have slender, right? And volume of slender, it is also very important because in this form you may have seen, you can say, columns, pillars, piers, piles. You have seen those things, and in order to determine the quantity of pile, in order to determine the quantity of pier, okay, and then column, it is really important to know about the volume of a cylinder, because cylinder is all about these you can say structures. Okay, and it is actually ear of the base. Okay, ear of the base. The base can be actually elliptical, it can be circular as well. So as you can see in the same formula, we have taken pi d squared divided by 4, which is actually ear of the base, right? And then we can multiply that with the height. So we can have the volume of a cylinder. Now, if you have base is in ellipse, then you can use, of course, pi AB, if you remember. That's why I just covered that part, okay? The part of area. Now, the surface area. As you can see, let's say this is column and you need to, you can say, have some tiles on the same surface, okay? Tile work, maybe paint, maybe distemper, okay? So it means you need to determine the area or the surface area of the same cylinder, the same pile, maybe pier, okay? And that's gonna be actually pi d, which is actually the circumference of the base, because that is circular, and times the height, which is actually the surface area then, okay? All right, next we have the cone. Cone, I really like about cone. Now, if you see, we have pi r square. Pi r square, that is actually a circle. If you remember, times height, it means it is the volume of a cylinder. Okay? Just few seconds ago, it's just been covered over there. Now, divided by 3, it means if you divide it by the 3, or the volume of a cylinder by 3, that means you got a cone, right? Now, volume of the cone should be 1/3 of the volume of a cylinder. Okay, very simple. Okay, let me just include another thing. You can say the surface area. I have messed it in the slide. Now, the surface area can be actually this area, which is the parameter of the base, which is pi d, right? And then we will multiply this parameter with the height, but not with the height of the cylinder. Okay, we will just multiply that with this inclined height, and let's just say this is small h. Okay, so this is the surface area. And next we have the pyramid. It is pyramid or pyramid, no problem. Okay, so we have 1/3 area of the base times the height. It is the same thing as a cone, right? Over there we had area of the base times height. Over here we have the same thing, area of the base times height, and it is actually the volume of a cylinder, if you remember. However, 1/3 that is taken because it is just pyramid. Okay, so it is the volume of a pyramid. And next we have actually area and volume for the Frustum of cone or pyramid. This thing is very important, and most of the time it is little bit confusing. Okay, previously we just covered that the volume of this Frustum. Okay, Frustum of cone, have you ever seen it? Okay, let me just give you some example. Let's say, look at this pyramid. Okay, if I extend it a little bit like this, it means we are gonna have a column. Okay, this can be you can say isolated footing. If you're a little bit familiar with construction, or RCC design. Okay, so this is isolated putting and it's everywhere. It means you have to determine the quantity of this thing. Okay, now in order to determine the quantity of this thing, you need to determine or you need to just learn the formula for this thing, right? And let's say if we have prism of cone like this, right? This design is also available, okay, maybe in residential buildings. So it's really important. And a prism of cone, you guys may have seen that in form of, you can say, slump cone. Okay, have you seen that slump cone? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Workability के लिए इस्तेमाल की जाती है
exactly,
perspective.
exactly, yes. Okay, so slump cone is a cone which is used to determine the workability of a fresh concrete, right? Okay, now in order to determine the volume or the quantity of a prism of cone, what the only formula and a single formula that is actually h by 3, and then we will multiply that with a1 plus a2. The formula is a little bit long, but I really like this formula. And then square root a1 a2. Okay, that is never confusing. Okay, now h, that is known, which is just the height. And remember, this is just the vertical height. Okay, it is never that inclined height, right? And a1, a2, these two are actually the ends areas. Let's say the top area, you can call that with a1, and then the bottom area, okay, let's say that is just a2. You can take them inversely, no problem, right? So this is how you can determine the volume of a prism of cone, or you can say the volume of a prism of pyramid. Okay, let me just have some explanation. Okay, little bit explanation so you guys can understand it very well. Okay, so as you can see, we have the volume, which is h by 3, and then we have a1 plus a2, and there we have a1 a2, right? Now a1, let's say this is the top area. Now the top, as you can see, that is actually you can say pi d squared divided by 4. Okay, and the bottom, let's say a2, that is the same thing as pi d squared divided by 4. You can also just keep that capital, and let's say d2. If this is an ellipse, okay, you can say elliptical, you can use, of course, pi AB. Now, as you can see, we're here, that base is just square. That's why you have to use a square for the bottom, and for the top, that is actually the same thing as a square. Okay, next, we will be just discussing about the volume determination, maybe for the dooms, okay, or maybe for arches.
सर ये सेकंड ईयर डब्ल्यू में के बुक में भी है क्वांटिटी के बुक में एग्जांपल है इसके ऊपर.
Okay, so you guys should check that, okay? And here is a chat. Sir, we will be needed previous and current recorded lectures after this class because I want to revise after class. Okay, we'll send that. Okay, वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग से रिलेटेड एक प्रॉब्लम है मेरे साथ, क्योंकि हम बहुत सारे बातें करते हैं ऑनलाइन क्लास में, ठीक है? तो मैं अगर इस वीडियो को बगैर एडिट करके सेंड कर दूँ तो फिर मेरे ख्याल से ये अच्छा इंप्रेशन नहीं जाएगा, क्योंकि आप लोग शेयर कर सकते हो आगे अपने दोस्तों के साथ, और मुझे पता है आप लोग शेयर करते हो, ठीक है? तो इसी वजह से मैं थोड़ा बहुत इसको एडिट करता हूँ, और जितने भी हम आगे पीछे की बातें करते हैं उनको मैं रिमूव कर देता हूँ, ठीक है? तो ये सारा एडिटिंग, इस पे काफ़ी टाइम लगता है, तो आप लोग प्लीज़ ना डायरेक्ट डिमांड ना करें वीडियो की। वीडियो एक दिन बाद आ सकती है, 2 दिन बाद आ सकती है, ठीक है? तो इसी वजह से प्लीज़ नेवर आस्क फॉर वीडियो ऑन द सेम डे और मे बी आफ्टर ए डे, right? Okay, next I'll be sharing some you can say whiteboard. Okay, is it clear? You can see whiteboard. Please confirm it.
Yes.
अच्छा, कितना टाइम हो गया क्लास का, ये बता सकता है?
सर घंटा पूरा होने वाला है।
अच्छा, तो 10 पे हमने शुरू किया था, चलो 5 मिनट और ज़ाया करते हैं, ठीक है? वैसे 40 मिनट का टाइम मैंने रखा है, लेकिन 1 घंटे का क्लास हो जाएगा, फिर सोते हैं। ओके, नेक्स्ट लेट्स जस्ट टॉक अबाउट one another thing, that is sphere. Okay, are you guys familiar with sphere? That is just the same thing as ball. ball नहीं होता इस तरह का, ये ठीक है? तो इसका क्या होगा? वॉल्यूम v equals, we have 4/3 and then pi r cube. Okay, r, which is just the radius. Okay, let me change the color, and this is actually the radius. Okay, r. Now its surface area should be, you can say, area, I'm gonna say is area. It means surface area. It should be pi r square, but we're gonna multiply the area of this. It is actually pi r square is actually area of the circle, if you remember. Okay, so it is actually the area, it's greater circle, right? And we can multiply that with 4. It means 4 times area of a circle is actually the surface area of a ball. Now, most of the time, many students ask why this sphere or ball is important. It is very important because if you remember, we're gonna have some dooms like this. Okay, maybe in masjids like this. Okay, so as a quantity surveyor, you have to determine these things. However, the doom can be hollow like this. So it means now, in order to determine the PCC work or the RCC work for the same doom, it is really important for you to understand about the volume of sphere or maybe ball. Okay, now this is hollow. It means we're gonna subtract this inside. Okay, very simple thing. Let's say if we have a maybe doom, okay, a semicircular doom, which is actually hollow inside. So what should be its volume? It is actually the same thing as like this one, but it is half. It means the you can say 4/3 pi r cube. This can be actually the external volume. You can say this ball, and we're gonna subtract the inside, right? It means we're gonna subtract 4/3 pi, and let's say small r cube. Okay, and I'm gonna write this formula again over here because we have something common like the volume. Okay, for a hollow ball should be actually what is common over here? It is 4/3 pi. You can say 4 pi by 3, and there we have actually r cube minus small r cube. Okay, so this is for a hollow. Now, as you can see, we have you can say semicircular doom. It means you can just divide this thing, the whole thing, by 2. Very simple. However, it can be little bit tricky if you have segmental like this one. It is just segmental, and most of the time we always face segmental dooms because they look beautiful and they are, you can say, architectural, right? And we will just discuss that maybe when you guys are not beginners and you are little bit familiar with quantity surveying, ठीक है? So इन चीज़ों को हम फिर बाद में इंशाल्लाह देख लेंगे. And I think it's enough for today. Yes, you can ask it. Where is the question? हेलो
यस सर।
आवाज आ रही है सर?
क्या?
हेलो,
जी जी बोलिए,
आवाज आ रही है?
आवाज आ रही है, आप पूछ सकते हैं।
सर जो फार्मूलेज जो सर आज जो फार्मूले किए हैं तो ये तो
फार्मूले क्या? इस बंदे ने जो सवाल पूछा है, कोई और बंदा इसको रिपीट कर सकता है प्लीज, क्योंकि इस बंदे की वो माइक्रोफोन शायद काम नहीं कर रहा।
हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
जी जी आ रही है।
सर मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि जो फार्मूलेज आज किए हैं तो इन पे मतलब प्रैक्टिस कैसे की जाए?
मैं इस स्लाइड को शेयर कर देता हूँ, ये जो व्हाइट बोर्ड है ना, इस चीज़ को मैं शेयर कर देता हूँ और लोगों के साथ, ठीक है?
ठीक
सर
है
बाल
सर।
का दोबारा लेके सर, बाल का वो जो वॉल्यूम एरिया, ये डोम का पूरा रिपीट दे सर।
नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ ये जो स्लाइड है ना, ये अच्छा ये, तो इसको मैं शेयर कर सकता हूँ आप लोगों के साथ। यहाँ पे मेरे पास डाउनलोड का ऑप्शन है, मैं इसको पीडीएफ में सेव कर सकता हूँ, ठीक है? आप लोग फिर इसको डाउनलोड कर ले उस जगह से, क्या कहते हैं उसको, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप से, ठीक है? तो यू गाइज आर गुड टू लिव
ठीक है
एंड
सर।
सी यू टुमारो।
यस, ओके सर, अल्लाह हाफिज।
अल्लाह हाफिज।
ओके सर, थैंक यू।